If I was in my mid-40s, at midlife, 50 or 60, and I needed to start over in 2026, this is exactly what I do. I know how it feels to work your first half of life, raise a family, grow your relationships, build your wealth, and get into a position of creating some not so great habits. You feel a little bit inflamed. You don't feel as strong as you should. You don't have as much energy. And it's because we've spent years developing these habits that we didn't need to. Prior to 20, we were active and ambitious and hungry for things. After you get out of school, then life begins to be a little bit more on purpose, headed in a direction like growing a family, growing a business, growing your wealth, and those sort of things. So if I got to this place and felt stuck and needed to start over in 2026, this is what I do. In fact, this is what I'm doing. And it takes a little while to get there with each thing, but I'm telling you, as you see progress, and it only takes a few days to start feeling a lot better, it will inspire and fuel you to get after it. So number one, where I'd start is really determine my gaps and my baseline. And what I mean by that is my cholesterol high, is my testosterone low? Why am I feeling certain ways? So I'd find a functional medicine doctor and I'd pay the money and I would get an extensive check on my blood and determine my biomarkers, where they're at, and figure out the gaps and determine the baselines. A full panel will tell you exactly where you're good and normal and some areas that you need improvement, and hopefully nothing too serious. But it's better to know and create a plan and to get them right. I do blood work every 90 days, so I could find out where I am short with something, and that occasionally happens. But I'd get in a program. That's not hard to do, right? You're 45, 50 years old. Maybe you've been going to the doctor once a year and having a physical. I'd say take it up a notch, because I'm assuming that you love life, or you want to love life, and you're looking at the beginning of your second half like, have less energy. I'm not so excited about where I am. I thought I was going to be further along, or I'm extremely successful, but I'm just feeling just not that great. So this is why I'd say start a new program. And this is the beginning of your, second mountain, your second half. And I am certain that by following these things, you're not only going to have a lot more energy and be passionate about the second half of life, your second half is going to be better. It's going to be more fulfilling. It's going to be a place where you could start doing things that maybe you put aside while you're accomplishing all the other things in the first half of life. So first, find your baselines and your gap. And as you fill those things, I can assure you technology's coming fast, and you get healthy and fill these gaps, you're going to live a lot longer than planned. And what we've found is, if you think you're going to live to wherever you think you're going to live to, typically it's not live and die. It's live, get some kind of chronic disease, and then pass away. So the last 10 or 15 years aren't all that great. And I'm going to challenge you to start thinking a little bit differently. Like, get really healthy, active, feel real good, and it's going to require some elimination of things and starting of things. But can you imagine if you're 45 or 50 feeling better at 60 than you do right now, feeling better at 70 than you do right now, and continually taking on new knowledge and information coming at you, and just continually really reversing your age a little bit, increasing your energy, and most importantly, just your excitement and joy in life. Number one, I would fill or determine my gaps and then work on filling those. That might require getting some supplements or getting some direction as to what to do to improve. While trying to identify my blood markers, I would also get a scan of your heart. If you haven't had one, get one. It'll tell you lots of information. Hopefully it's awesome and you're in perfect condition, but it'll tell you where some plaque has occurred. And if it was some soft plaque, like I found several years ago, you could start doing things to reduce that. And it's only through your biomarkers, getting a heart scan, that you could determine what you need to do. I'd also get a carotid artery test or a carotid artery ultrasound, and they're easy to get. They're not that expensive, but it tells you if you are near or going in a direction of a potential stroke. See, I feel like a heart attack or stroke, those are the things that happen, boom, that we can prevent, at least get out in front of and start doing the things to prevent them. Where other things, you might have more time, a stroke or heart attack comes instantly. So I'd get my heart and I'd get my carotid arteries checked out, and then take instruction from my functional medicine doctor on to how to get them corrected. If you're struggling with other things like, pains or tendons or, those kinds of things, I would get those checked out too to see if you've got any torn tendons or muscles that you need to work on as well. So my first step would be to really assess where I'm at right now, what needs to be fixed. Next, man, I would get your mindset right. So you've developed some habits, and those habits sometimes for a lot of people really give you kind of a tainted perspective on what life is and what aging's going to be. And it doesn't have to be like that. You can work on getting rid of anger or jealousy or envy or comparison, depression, really just this funk of and brain fog, really by taking care of how you think. That could require some therapy, but mostly probably just some meditation, some prayer, and really just getting in peace so you could think. Ideally, if you could spend an hour a day with just yourself, with nothing else, and just think over time, and I haven't gotten to that point yet, but the books I'm reading are all indicating that if you can get to a point where an hour a day, some guys are even saying longer, you could get to a point where you've produced clarity for yourself, and there's no better place to be than just clear with where you're at and where you're headed. So for me, I started meditating, and I started very small. I got the Calm app, and I started just with 5 minutes with guided meditation, and I worked my way up to 10 and 15 minutes of guided meditation. Then I started with not guided, just myself, and learned how to breathe and learned how to focus, because what you do when you meditate is you drift off and start thinking about other things, and that's part of the practice. You don't punish yourself, you don't get mad, you just recenter yourself and breathe. And meditation with a guided instructor will teach you how to do it. It takes a little bit of time, but probably within 2 weeks to 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to feel a little bit different about, the clarity that's produced in your mind. If meditation isn't your jam, and prayer will do it as well, and again, just some opening up, appreciating nature, and finally, if those things aren't doing it for you, I would recommend, and not in place of, but adding gratitude to your life. What am I grateful for? I'd start out my day with either meditation and a grateful practice. Just really think about, and I'm not just saying, boom, the same 3 things every day, but think about basic things, big things that you're grateful for. And as you write them down, picture it, take it in. I promise you that creating a grateful mindset will pull you away from the things you don't have and very appreciative of the things you do have. Because oftentimes at 45 and 50, we start looking at our lives and going, shoot, I could have done this, I should have done this, my friends did this, I'm all over social media and all these people are doing all these things, why not me? And that's a bad place to be. You want to get rid of that stuff, be grateful for where you're at, what you have, and then put a plan in place so that you feel better, so that you begin to move forward to accomplish the things you ultimately want to accomplish. After working on your mindset, and again, that'll take a few weeks, but keep the practice going. It's critical that you just don't stop. So far, I haven't really said anything radical, right? So you go get your blood work done and have a doctor. You start working on your mindset. Meanwhile, you might be taking some additional supplements. You might be doing a few different things to get your gaps in control. Then I'd make sleep my priority. I would get a bedtime that allows you to wake up early in the morning. If you're not an early person and you're a night owl, you can make an adjustment. But what I see, understand, and believe is that training your body to get an earlier start, for most people, it's really the trick to designing a different life for yourself. So I go to bed about 8:30. I wake up about 4:30. Sometimes I might, in the summertime, it's a little harder to get in bed by 8:30. In the wintertime, I can get in bed by 8, maybe even a little earlier. And in the summertime, maybe as late as 9:30, but I'm sleeping maybe till 5:30. But I get up, and generally it's still dark, but I'm up. And so sleeping is the priority, and then waking up early is another one. And waking up is really about starting getting hydrated. So hydration is key. If you feel inflamed and just waking up early, typically our habits just have a sleeping, lazy brain fog. But if you wake up early, hydrate, and I mean really hydrate, walk outside and get some morning sun, and maybe walk a little bit. I guarantee you, if the first 15 minutes of your day is hydrating, getting some morning sun, going for a little walk, that will also work on your mindset. And if you're walking, maybe you're thinking of things you're grateful for. So you're kind of like conquering 3 or 4 things all at once. Again, I'm trying to tell you what to do if you need to start over at midlife and you want to live a long, energetic, fulfilling, epic second half of life. For me, what I'd recommend also, after making sleep a priority and getting up early, is taking care of my skin. Developing a skincare routine. That was really hard for me. My late wife told me all the time, do it, and I just never did. And Katie, my wife, really has a practice of skincare and has encouraged me. And for the last several years, I've been really working on taking care of my skin. And why I'd say to start, if you were starting over, I'd make that one of the priorities, because when you start feeling better by the other things I just said, and then you start looking in the mirror and you start seeing some improvement with your skin and maybe some your hair care and oral care, you just start looking at somebody different, and it works. I'm not going to go through all the things I do to take care of my skin in the morning and night, but part of feeling young and energetic is looking at somebody that's young and energetic. So for a lot of guys out there, or people that aren't taking care of their skin, I would YouTube skincare routines for men and for women, and I would begin that practice. It's not that difficult. It takes a few minutes. It just includes cleaning your skin and moisturizing your skin. And I know I sound weird talking about this coming from a guy, but it is critical second half of life to just feel really vibrant. The next thing I would do, again, if I want to start over, I would absolutely make sure that I wasn't poisoning my body with the things I put in it. The first things I said, like getting blood work and working on your mindset and hydrating and getting outside and taking care of my skin, those are pretty easy things. They're just new routines, new steps that you do over and over. Write them down, check them off a list, and as you do them, for a month or so, they're going to become your routine and what you do, and you're going to feel awesome. The next few things I'm going to tell you require a little bit of change, effort, and some stubbornness on your part and releasing some of your bad habits. But I would stop poisoning my body, and that comes with first eliminating ultra-processed foods. A challenge for a lot of people, including it was a challenge for me, and I still have to work at it, because when I'm at a ball game, I may eat a hot dog. When I'm around people, have an ice cream, it's tough for me to turn that down. Or dessert in a restaurant, desserts are tough. If it's in front of me, I have very little willpower. However, if it's not in my house, I don't ever crave those things. So I'd work on defining what ultra-processed foods are. Not processed foods, but those two, but the ultra-processed foods. Those are the things that contribute in a big way to feeling inflamed when you wake up in the morning. It's where your eyes feel a little puffy and you just don't have that energy and you don't feel like you had a good night's sleep and you just can't move your body like you used to when you're in your 20s and 30s. And that happens as you get a little bit older. But if you start eliminating the processed foods, and if it's hard for you at first, just start eliminating one by one. And I believe that as you do all these things, it becomes a little easier to eliminate because you're going to feel really good. Start limiting your sugar intake. And just be aware when you're eating sugar. It's very hard to do because sugar is in so many things that we love. But sugar is bad for you. Sugar is poison, and sugar will cause a lot of the problems that create chronic illness and getting disease and ultimately creating a situation where you can't get it turned around. So really pay attention to putting sugar in your body and do everything you can to reduce it and limit it. So it always starts with reducing. But if you're serious about feeling good and living longer, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You got to stop the processed foods and you got to stop the sugar intake. I'd also eliminate sodas. That's hard to do for a lot of people, but sugar is no bueno. There's nothing good in consuming soda. And I know it's refreshing. I know it's a habit. And it's a habit we form as kids. And I'm just telling you that sugar goes right to the things that are bad for your brain and cognition. It goes right to what's bad for your heart. It goes bad to, it creates and causes potential cancers. And diabetes is the worst. So sugar is a thing, and soda is really just sugar. Even the sugar-free stuff, the stuff that they replace is processed and bad for you. So eliminate sugar. And I'm going to go on another one that most people don't like, but eliminate alcohol. I did it about 15 months ago, and I'm telling you straight what I would do. I'm not judging people that want to have a soda, that want to have processed foods or sugar and alcohol. It's okay. There's a lot of studies that show a little bit of alcohol is okay, but recent studies are really indicating that there's no amount of alcohol that's good for you. So I'm telling you straight, if I were starting over, there'd be no alcohol, maybe occasional toast at a wedding, maybe on a special moment, on an anniversary, maybe if you're gathering with some good friends, maybe. Because I think some of those blue zone studies where they say in these blue zones they're having a little bit of wine every night, I really think it's the other stuff with a little bit of wine that contributes to living longer. So it's not just having a glass of wine, you live longer. It's the laughter and the play, the happiness that comes with your family and the celebration with a little bit of wine. It's certainly not having a big glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine, shots, that stuff. Although I really enjoyed my time doing it. I have less memories of doing it because I'd wake up with sometimes not really remembering the night before. So I'm sure I lost a lot of time doing that, but I'm committed to getting that time back, and I've eliminated alcohol. Most of all, by stopping alcohol, I'm sleeping better. Mostly I'm feeling completely less inflamed, no inflammation. I was struggling with a little bit of heartburn and, like I said, struggling with my sleep a little bit. I'm just feeling a little bit of a lack of energy. Even if I only had a glass of wine or 2, I'd wake up the next day and just feel not really excited to get after it. I wasn't hungover. I just didn't feel that zest for life and that need to, really enjoy the next day. I was just kind of in a funk. once I stopped alcohol. The first few months were somewhat challenging because going out socially, which is another thing I'm going to talk about, it's hard when everybody's drinking it and having a good time. For the first few times, several times, you feel kind of like a dud, feel boring, you're not contributing to much of anything, and people sound a little goofy and it gets loud. But over time, believe it or not, you get to your true self, where you do laugh, where you do contribute, and it's an awesome feeling. After about 4 months is where I feel like not a real need to have a drink. It was never a challenge in my life that I had to have one, but after about 4 months, I felt no need to have one and to indulge. And then when you start really feeling that energy and feeling better, there have been plenty of times, because I've never declared I'm done drinking. I just said I'm not going to drink for a few months, and then just ended up being a few more months. And then I got to a point where I think of special moments that I want to have a great glass of wine or an old fashioned. But at that moment, when I was thinking I was going to, I just chose not to because I was feeling so good. Anyway, enough about that. The next thing I would do, and for a lot of you, early life, you maybe had a lot of exercise, but at some point, maybe that exercise wasn't disciplined. I would absolutely make sure that you created movement in your life and really start exercising vigorously. And I don't say that to scare people off, but at midlife, you absolutely need to start getting strength and building muscle. As we age, we lose muscle, and once you lose muscle, man, it's really hard. It's impossible to do a lot of things that you're going to want to do. So strength exercising and really lifting heavy. And I'm saying this like you don't just go out and lift heavy, but you start exercising and you start doing some things to get stronger. For another video, the specifics, but think about if you're starting over right now, I need to start developing muscle. And if you don't have any or you feel weak, that's okay. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Everything that's good starts off challenging. Start light. Maybe it's just a push-up. Maybe it's just a couple crunches. Maybe it's hanging from a bar before you could do a pull-up. If you can, hire yourself a trainer because they're going to help. Start small, increase it. After about 30 days, your body's going to adapt and feel good. You're going to feel like you're muscular and you see muscle. In reality, maybe not a ton yet, but you'll start to see some progress after 3 weeks or so and feel really good. And that fuels you to not want to miss a training session. Do 3 or 4 strength workouts a week, and you're going to see a huge change, and you're preparing yourself for a long second half of life. You're not stopping when you're 60. You're not stopping when you're 70. You're not stopping when you're 80. You're going to continue to lift weights or do some strength exercises, and man, you're going to feel awesome. I feel as good as I ever have right now. My body fat is as low as it's ever been, and my skeletal muscle mass is as high as it's ever been. And I'm 66 years old, and I can't tell you how proud of myself I am, but how inspired I am to keep it going. I really dread situations where I'm not going to be able to get a workout in. But if you already feel good, missing a workout isn't going to destroy things. Missing several will have you go backwards a little bit. So strength exercise is key. Also, on the alternate days, increasing your endurance by doing a little bit of cardio. I do that 3 days a week, maybe 4, depending on how many strength days I have. I don't do cardio at the same time. If I do a little bit of cardio, maybe 20 minutes of some stairs after the strength training, but you don't want to mix those up too much because it'll prevent you from gaining as much strength and muscle as you can. So cardio, zone 2 cardio mostly is that's walking. That's doing something at a pace where you can have a conversation, a little bit of breathing and a conversation. I try to do walking on a treadmill at an incline for most of my zone 2 training. I'll park further away at work, or at the store or wherever I'm at, I'll try to park a little bit further, get a little bit more walking in, walk a little briskly. And that's getting a little bit of hard breathing in. I'd also, and this is what's the hardest for me, is really intense breathing hard exercise. That could be running up a hill, it could be a rowing exercise, but it's doing some intervals. It's doing just an intense workout, short bursts of high intensity, and followed by dropping it for just catching your breath. So one of the best ways is 4 minutes of intensity, and then 4 months of just getting the breathing to stop, and then do that 4 times. So they're called 4x4s. I'd do about 5 minutes of just loosening and warming up, and then I'd go hard at something you love doing, if it's cycling, if it's running, if it's walking hard up a hill. And again, you're not going to start at your all-out speed, right? You're going to start at about 50%, work your way up to 75% of your heart rate, of max heart rate. And that's going to take a little while, but again, after about 30 days, you're going to feel this burst of energy in your life, in your day. And combined with seeing your body change with muscle, feeling a little bit more endurance, stopping poison in your body, looking a little better in the mirror, getting up early, like it's going to be 30 days or less where you're really starting to feel awesome. I'd also start making sure I eat cleaner. Most importantly, if you're stopping the things I suggested, the poisoning of your body, I would now have priority making sure I have enough protein. Ideally about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It's a lot. It's salmon, it's chicken, it's other fishes, it's beef if you like it. Grass-fed beef is best. There's plenty of ways to get protein. Go to Google and say sources of protein. It produces a big list, and pick which ones you like and how many grams in 6 ounces, 3 ounces, or whatever it is, and figure out your day to make sure you're getting a lot of protein. I'd also make sure I'm getting my daily allowance of fiber. So do some research on what you need for fiber, sources of fiber. Again, identify the things you enjoy with fiber, right, that have fiber, and put those in your diet. So if you begin to work on eliminating your poison and adding some good stuff, you'll be also doing some good carbs. I do some sweet potatoes and some vegetables and very little other things with carbs, but I think that's when I saw my body fat really shrink, and is by adding protein and eliminating the bad carbs, like breads and pastas and things like that. Just don't do it. Occasionally I'll do it on occasionally, maybe once a month. But eating clean, eliminating the processed foods. Those are a little bit harder, right? So eliminating the processed foods and exercising and eating clean, those are the 3 biggies that people have a hard time getting back to. But if you want to start and if you want to feel better, these are the things you're going to do. You see, it's remembering, if you're in your mid-50s and you think I've got to my mid-80s, so that's 30 years. So statistically, people get a chronic illness 10 to 15 years before that 85. So now it becomes around 60, right? Or 65 that you start feeling inflamed or unable to do some of the things you've been able to do, or you've got severe back pain, or you start developing some early signs of dementia. Those things happen before you just die. Who wants that? And I'm challenging you, like, man, you could have a better second half than your first half was. And if your first half wasn't all that great, the rest of your life could be freaking awesome. There are things that you could achieve that you never believed, starting with your mindset. Dream a little, write your goals, and those sort of things. So I come to the last few things that I would do starting over in 2026. I'd learn some new things. We found that newness and novelty slows the aging process down, stimulates your brain and cognition, and it's fun to learn new things. Who knew you're going to like this, or who knew you'd enjoy that? And maybe those things are things that contribute to your energy and positive health. So what could you do? For me, we've started doing a ton of traveling. In fact, I'm at what we're calling an inspired stay. It's inside of a company that I'm creating called 120 Inspired, but inspired stays are about a month or so, ideally longer, where you just live in a new place and take in the community and take in the culture and experience the fun things in that environment that you haven't experienced before. Right now we're in Sun Valley, Oregon, and there is fly fishing and 40 miles of trails that you can bike or that you can walk. There's 4 golf courses here in Sun River. There is just a ton of really cool things. There's some horseback riding, there's swimming pools. I know I'm missing a ton, but great restaurants. We have the dogs and the cat with us, so we're taking the dogs on lots of big walks. They're loving it here. There's pickleball courts, there's dog parks, there's workout facilities and spas. And so we're living the life we designed, but bringing it to a new place. And we're going to continue to do this 2-3 times a year, start increasing our stays to be longer than 30 days. Right now, as my parents are aging, they're going to be 90 this year. I want to make sure that I'm fairly close, and so we're not doing extended stays too far away. And we want to make sure to, if we're going to be gone a month, we want to be able to take our dogs and hopefully our cat. And so we want to be within a few hour drive, or and I say a few hours, 8 hours, 10 hours drive. Our animals could make that easy. We haven't tried any further, but maybe they can. Or a quick flight home if we need to get home quickly. And it can range from renting an apartment to renting a small house to staying in a nice hotel or to renting a home. We've decided to rent a fairly big home because we have family coming for the week of the 4th. So it's going to include just tremendous memory making and family time for a week, and it's going to allow Katie and I to spend time together for 3 weeks and do all the things that we really love. So traveling is something that really has slowed down time and increased happiness and in all the things for us. But reading new things, really reading will allow you to learn new things and again stimulate your brain and help with your cognition. And you just have fun experimenting new things. You're gonna find something that you go, oh my gosh, I didn't know. Pickleball, for example, I'm starting a little bit. Katie's playing a little more, but we want to start playing some pickleball together with other couples or with friends and find a new thing that we really enjoy. And learning new things, getting better at things is another way to just have an abundant second half of life. Maybe there's some limited beliefs or some depression or something there that prevents you from it. But the things I've said aren't that hard. They're just new habits. There's eliminating some bad stuff. There's adding some new stuff. You're gonna have to trust that you're gonna feel so good at the end of the day. It's not gonna take long, and you're gonna feel awesome. If you enjoyed this video, follow me, share, follow me on the next one, and I'm gonna just continue to tell you things to get in the right place so you have an epic second half of life.